The Great War is here.
HBO boss regrets announcement of Game of Thrones follow-up Confederate. HBO clearly wants to stay in business with Game of Thrones showrunners David Benioff and Dan Weiss, and even if that business has the whole internet fired up with outrage. That said, a week after announcing Confederate, David and Don's next TV show, network execs admit they have already made mistakes. Confederate chronicles the events leading to the Third American Civil War, the premium cable outlet said in its July 19 press release. The series takes place in an alternate timeline, where the southern states have successfully seceded from the Union, giving rise to a nation in which slavery remains legal and has evolved into a modern institution. The story follows a broad swath of characters on both sides of the Mason-Dixon demilitarized zone: freedom fighters, slave hunters, politicians, abolitionists, journalists, the executives of a slave-holding conglomerate, and the families of people in their thrall. The backlash was strong, perhaps even stronger than the producers or the showrunners had imagined. The writers of a fantasy show with no black people can't wait to write a fantasy show where the black roles are slaves, tweeted the Daily Beast's Ira Madison III. What will it mean for black children to come of age with Confederate on air with Donald Trump as president? Asked astrophysicist Dr. Chanda Priest-Conweinstein. It is exhausting to think of how many people at HBO said yes to letting two white men envision modern-day slavery. And offensive, added Hunger author Roxane Gay. The following day, David and Dan discussed a controversy with Vulture, alongside their fellow executive producers, husband and wife duo Malcolm and Nichelle Tremble-Spellman, who happen to be black. Confederate, in all of our minds, will be an alternative history show. It's a science fiction show, Dan said. One of the strengths of science fiction is that it can show us how this history is still with us in a way no strictly realistic drama ever could, whether it were a historical drama or a contemporary drama. It's an ugly and a painful history, but we all think this is a reason to talk about it, not a reason to run from it. And this feels like a potentially valuable way to talk about it. I do understand their concern, Nichelle says of the online critics. The concern is real. But I think that the four of us are very thoughtful, very serious, and not flip about what we are getting into in any way. We deal with the struggle every single day, Malcolm added. And people don't have to get on board with what we're doing based on a press release. But when they're writing about us, and commenting about us, they should be mindful of the fact that there are no sellouts involved in this show. Now HBO programming president Casey Bloys is owning up to the network's shortcomings in anticipating the controversy. If I could do it over again, HBO's mistake, not the producers, was the idea that we would be able to announce an idea that is so sensitive, that requires such care and thought on the part of the producers in a press release, he told reporters on July 26, per Entertainment Weekly. It was misguided on our part, Casey admitted. We had the benefit of sitting with these four producers, we heard why they wanted to do the show, what they were excited about, and why it was important to them, so we had that context, but I completely understand that somebody reading the press release would not have that at all. If I had to do it over again, I would have rolled it out with the producers on the record so people understood where they were coming from. Still, The controversy rages on, no matter the careful language HBO or the producers use or the assurances they make, especially because two white men are still listed as the showrunners, the ultimate bosses of the show, despite the Spellman's involvement. What makes the premise fundamentally problematic is that it threatens to erase the actual history, activist and artist Bree Newsome told The Hollywood Reporter. There has been so much deliberate miseducation around the Civil War, and this basically rewrites Black history of the past 150 years. We combat racism through educating people on history, so it's dangerous to present alternative histories when people are still not clear on the facts. These white filmmakers who have been silent on the plight of Black America are basically profiting off of Black pain, adds film critic Rebecca Theodore. This show is just something cool that will give them ratings and accolades, but there's nothing in their work that has ever shown that they have a vested interest in the welfare of Black Americans. Time will tell how this series turns out, or if it turns out, for that matter. More as this story develops and